Welcome, Aries, to your in-depth weekly astrology overview and zodiac forecast for week commencing the 6th of April for the ascendant, the sun, or the moon. I'm going to share with you the big themes of the week first. Then on screen, your event chart on Monday always provides an influential backdrop. I'll then go through each of the influences frame by frame to give you a clear picture of what you can expect in terms of your energy, work, relationships, and finance. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundel. A very warm welcome. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so now to help it to continue to thrive. Now, Jupiter, the planet which we see as being very much to do with exuberance, is forging two very important connections as you go into this week, and one of them is with the sun in your sign. What does that mean? I'm going to unpack that for you. But also, your ruler Mars is coming to the end of a long journey through the most psychological part of your scope, which I don't think has been easy. But by Thursday, bursts into your sign. A new beginning. It's really something to celebrate. But the reception committee is the dreamy, drifting Neptune. What will that mean? By the end of the week, Aries, we have a quarter moon. We get two a month. This one's in Capricorn, very much to do with our connection to the wider world. How will it play out in the following week for you? So on the screen now is your event chart. As ever, we need to be mindful of the two luminaries. The sun in your sign is exalted, but also in the second decan of your sign, subruled by the sun. So a very energetic place for the sun to be. But the moon has just moved into the free-spirited Sagittarius. So as you come into this week, your enthusiasm can be quite high. And also the sun, you can see, is in a square with Jupiter. If you recall, Jupiter's going to be really important at the start of this week. Now, that's an aspect that can give you a lot of enthusiasm, particularly around, say, do it yourself, but you may also find yourself tempted to help someone, and you may be coming from a good place, but it's going to be important to temper any enthusiasm because you could end up promising to do something that later becomes a burden. But what is superb with Jupiter is Mercury. Mercury is very much about communication and precision, but it has been affected quite a lot by being in Pisces and being in the retrograde. Now it's going to come out of the post-retrograde shadow on Thursday, so that's something to celebrate. But that link with Jupiter suggests that something you've been thinking about could really start to gain traction. And one of the reasons that you can burst forwards in the first half of this week is Mars, your ruler, is then linking to Uranus just before he arrives in your sign. So something that has been on the back boiler could start to pick up speed, and it may be a brilliant idea you've got, and it can help you to earn extra money. But speaking of money, Venus, the planet very much to do with finances, and in a home sign of Taurus, is in a clash with Pluto as we begin this week. Now, if your view of a situation or your values don't align to a friend or a partner, that could show up early in the week. But then again, in a romantic context, maybe there's someone in your social circle that you're finding rather hard to resist. Fast forwards to Thursday. Mars moves forwards into your zodiac sign, but does through to the end of the week merge with Neptune. Now, if Neptune wasn't there, I think you would see and notice more acutely a big pickup in your vitality. Mars moving into your sign will give you a greater sense of certainty, self-assurance, and you're going to feel that what's been stalling can really start to travel forwards at pace. It's just that Neptune and Mars together can be quite a disorientating link, particularly because Mars can be about desire. So when it comes to your identity, for example, you may try to do something different, but even as you're putting on your clothes and looking at yourself in the mirror, you may not be quite sure. But then again, you may feel that you look absolutely brilliant, and for sure you could. It's just that Neptune can disorientate us. So if there's something you want to add physical vitality to, just be aware towards the end of this week, as much as you can have a bit more energy, it might not be quite as strong as you would like. Now, if you recall, the moon moves forwards, comes into Capricorn by the end of the week, and squares up with the sun, which has travelled forwards by then, moving along in Aries. If you work in a conventional environment, like a big organization, a corporate structure, and you're someone with brilliant ideas, you may encounter someone over the following week who's much more conservative and wants you to do things in the way that they expect, not how you see it. So if you are a natural born bohemian, that could show up as an issue for you towards the end of this week. But even if you do work for yourself, you're a creative, you've got some brilliant ideas, we always have to filter those out to the wider world. And that's what the moon in Capricorn's about. And the moon in Capricorn is in its detriment. So we may encounter someone who's a bit cool, stern, not very reactive in a positive way to our brilliant ideas, but just take it in your stride. I'm going to summarize those 4 areas for you, Aries. But just before I do, if you've yet to watch your deep dive for April, it's on the screen now. If you've yet to watch your Libra full moon video on the screen, you can sign up for your free daily horoscope via to your device. Please see the link below. Get your celestial pit stop early each day. If you'd like to talk to me one-to-one, please check out my testimonials below. My personal horoscope charts are 50% off at the moment. They're totally unique for each person they're produced for and can give searing insights there below too. So to summarize those 4 areas, when it comes to your energy, I do think you're going to see an improvement this week. When it comes to your finances, something that you have been working on that hasn't quite caught fire can really do so later in this week, but you may have to contend with someone who has a different set of values to you. When it comes to your romantic situation, well, the energy from that full moon is still providing a backdrop for you. You can check out the full moon video for the greater detail on that. But there are times when we need to be single-minded. But whilst within that, it's important to also be inclusive and sensitive to the other person. And that may be the trick for this week. But if you are attracted to someone in your friendship circle, it could prove to be quite a hot connection. Have a great week, Aries. Thank you so much for joining me. All the best and goodbye.